Today I'm going to discuss raising the vibration of the body, why it's so important, how to do it, the role of thought, the importance of perception. And I'll just begin by saying, if you are calling in more energy into your life, whether it's just by meditation or by contemplating the perfection of life or by forgiveness or by whatever means that you are on your path of ascending yourself into the realization of your godhood and what that means as a human, then the body will be affected by the energy. And it's important, right, if we're going to practice wholeness, to have all of the dimensions of ourselves in alignment and in integrity so that the energy may flow freely without disharmony, without disease, without resistance, right? With as little resistance as possible. So how do you raise the vibration of the body? Well, the body is the mind. So if you have realized the dimension of awareness, but you are simply observing the mind, but the mind is still creating chaos, the mind is still casting judgments, the mind is still seeing flaws, the mind is still narrating a resistant story about reality, then there is a lack of continuity between the fundamental dimension of yourself and your physical manifestation. So I'm talking about embodying your godhood and why thought is so important, or perception is so important in doing so, not just interrupting every thought with silence, but actually actively perceiving the perfection of all life, the perfection of all beings. And before I continue, I want to insert that something that a lot of people find irreconcilable can coexist, which is, if somebody has betrayed you, if somebody has hurt you deeply, you can still see them as perfect, as the perfection of God, as the perfect radiance of God, and still maybe intelligently discern not to spend your life with them or not to spend time with them. I talk a lot about how unconditional love and discernment, they can coexist, right? And it's very personal to the individual, like how far you take that. Some people feel called to, stay in a situation that maybe from other people's perspectives they would never stay in, but they're gaining some deep spiritual value from it. That's not really up to us to decide how other people should move through the world. But I talk a lot about our physical life being in alignment with us as source, and how, at least in my experience, the more I awaken and align with my true self in all of the dimensions, the more harmony is in my life, is in my body, is in relationships. That's in my experience. And I believe that awakening is a science, and that the more embodied you are, the more harmony there is in your life. And so thought, perception, and frequency is very important. So perceiving all life as perfect, right? Perceiving all life as perfect, even if there is somebody in your life who hurt you so deeply, to see them as perfect, to see yourself as perfect, to know yourself as perfect, and that part of that perfection is the constant becoming, right? Is the expansion, is the ever expanding ability to realize and perceive ourselves as what we are. I remember hearing or reading that Nisargadatta Maharaj on his deathbed, after writing "I am that" and all of those things, upon his deathbed he said, "Oh, that was just the beginning," right? So we're always evolving into our ability to receive, perceive, allow ourselves to experience what we are. So why is it so important to raise the vibration of the body? Because if the body cannot handle spiritual energy, it will be difficult for you. And why would you want disharmony in your life? You might be addicted to it. It might give you something psychologically. It might give you some reward. And that's part of your awakening, right? If you cannot let go of struggle, if you cannot let go of overcoming difficulty, right? And that can be very much a normal part of life, but the way that it feels is just an opportunity to create. Your experience of life is more joyful and creative, and the way that you would characterize it is a more joyful experience than somebody who is in a story where they are constantly needing to overcome challenges in order to validate their existence. So raising the vibration of the body, seeing the perfection of all life, seeing the perfection of yourself, actively radiating that perception, actively radiating that knowledge, really, that knowledge into the world, not just observing the mind, not just being in observation, not just being aware of, right? We have to be careful, or be mindful of how people use words. Awareness, right? Awareness is always aware, and it's aware of the mind, it's aware of the body. But if you find the dimension of awareness and kind of park yourself there and just observe the mind playing out and the body doing what it does, then you're not fully connected or pressed in. All of the dimensions of yourself are not in alignment, because when you actually occupy the personal experience, your personal mind, and you radiate a frequency, it feels like you're radiating your creative essence into the world instead of kind of behind life, watching life play out. And it's very useful to watch and simply to observe the mind, because then you understand how it works, you understand the machinations of it, you understand it as a machine. But then there's a calling to go further, and you no longer need to understand it, and you just occupy the moment and radiate your creative energy. So thought is important. Thought is the bridge between the unmanifested and the manifested. So if you just use the teaching of going beyond thought and stay disconnected from thought, then you might be kind of sabotaging yourself in a way, only temporarily, because everybody snaps out of stuckness. Everybody evolves eventually. Everybody moves forward, even when it doesn't look like they're moving forward. But contemplating the idea, meditating upon perfection, meditating upon divinity, perfection, radiance, meditating upon love, seeing the love coming out of everybody's eyes, looking upon all life as if it were the most tender, dearest, like child in your life, almost. Like, it's like if you plant a seed in the ground and there's a stream of light coming to the seed, right? What the ego does is it puts its hand in between the stream of light and the seed, and it blocks the light from growing. Everything is receiving light and growing, whether our conditioned mind recognizes that or not. So when we cast judgments, when we assume flaws, when we point out what's wrong with people, when we are always pointing out how people are triggered, I think people are getting carried away with that a little bit. We're literally blocking that stream of light. And we really don't have the power ultimately to do that. If a person is awake, they will receive their light no matter what others do. But when you use the mind to create division and judgment and obscure the reality of perfection, you are, in a sense, casting a shadow over the seed. And if the seed is you, right? The seed is you. It's part of your whole being, right? The universe is my whole being. Every aspect of the universe is my personality. Why would you not give that part of you a chance to receive the light? Isn't that a kindness that you would want to bestow upon your own personal self? That instead of always pointing out what is wrong, and of course there is a balance between discernment, between awareness and mercy, or awareness and love. In fact, the combination of love and awareness is kind of the magic formula, right? When you're aware that you have an energy that's manipulative or conniving, and you see it clearly, but you see it with love, it turns into light. So you have to have like a mixture of that the wand of light, the sword of light energy, and that unconditional love, because it's all innocent. It's all strategies that stem from a misunderstanding of who we are. So love and awareness is really the magical formula of freedom. But raising the vibration of the body, if the body is the mind, okay, and the body's exhibiting, let's say symptoms, it's not about getting to work on fixing ourselves. It's about, okay, like, where can I bring more love into my life? Where can I bring more love into my life? It's just a flag alerting you to perhaps there's a subject or there's a habit of your mind that tends to find flaw, that tends to cast shadows, right? You're casting shadows upon something in the universe, which is yourself, and it's reflecting in the body. And so I am not one of those teachers who says, like, oh, just discard the body, forget the body, just go into awareness, go beyond it. That's not at all what resonates with my heart. What resonates with my heart is bringing your fundamental nature, manifesting it into the body, as Jesus did. Jesus contemplated the perfection of all life, the perfection of his brothers. He fixed his awareness on the knowledge of perception, the knowledge of perfection. And so his body, because his thought resonated with the mind of God, his body raised in energy, and he was able to ascend in his body of light, and that's what resonates with me. So it's important that you care about the thoughts that you are putting out into the ethers, right? Don't just watch them, right? Watch your mind as long as it takes you to understand how it works, and until you develop such a disinterest in draining useless thinking that you simply put it down. But also actively, right? Especially if there's people in your life who have hurt you, if there are people in your life who it has been difficult for you to love them, see them in your mind's eye, see their soul, see them beyond how they appear to be manifesting and behaving in this physical world. It's very important to my heart that all of the parts of myself, I see all of the major players in my life, ultimately the whole universe, but especially the major players of my life, as aspects of my own psyche. And no matter how that part of me has treated this part of me, has treated me as an individual, what is so important to me is that I see it for what it truly is, which is, it's all a dance of us walking each other home. And it's important to me that by the end of this lifetime, that I have done my best to think upon all of the characters in my life with love. Those are the church bells in Paris. I love that sound. So raising the vibration of the body, right, to be able to handle more light. To be able to handle more energy, more light. A lot of times the non-physical faculties will open up during an awakening. And if the body can't handle the energy, it will feel, the opening of those faculties might feel very disorienting to you, right? So if you have a hormonal imbalance, if you have any kind of chemical imbalance in your body, when you invite more non-physical light, more light into your being, into your energy body, that light will enhance or exaggerate all of the everything that is out of balance. So it will bring to your attention perhaps how you might need to eat properly. I have been a vegan for 24 years, and my body is asking me for eggs and cheese and every now and then like a little bit of meat. That's what it's asking me for. And so that's what it is, right? I honor what my body needs in order so that it has the ability to handle the amount of light that I am calling in. The bell rings for a long time, especially on Sunday, because there's all these amazing church services. So raising the vibration of the body is about your thought. It's about the thoughts that you think. It's about how you focus. You don't need to use actual thought, but rather find a frequency that is equal to the thought of perfection. So if you find the frequency of wholeness, for example, and you radiate the energy of wholeness, and you gaze upon or observe, right? Remember the observer effect. What we observe is affected by the observer. So if you observe something as perfect, right? If you find the frequency of perfection and wholeness and observe life from that perspective, that is the most maximal service that you could ever offer another. And in many books, it says the benefit of forgiveness, which is really seeing something for what it truly is that it is a gift to both the giver and the receiver. It raises the energy of your body, and it is received by the other, whether they know it or not, whether they consciously know it or not. So it is important that you do not abandon the dimension of mind, and mind doesn't have to be an actual thought. It can be a frequency. So find a frequency that you can find, like wholeness. Wholeness is felt from the heart. Find the frequency of wholeness. Find the frequency of perfection. Relax your mind and start to cue yourself, right? Wholeness, perfection, divinity. Say these words to yourself until they begin to feel intense to you, right? And so that you can bring it forward into your physical life. The speed at which you awaken is the intensity at which you focus. I believe awakening is a science. There is this aspect, and the ego can't really handle paradox. On the one hand, there's nothing you can do about it, and on the other hand, it's a science. And so reconcile that in whatever way you can, but there is law of vibration and entrainment, and when you focus on a frequency, and you become it, right? Whether it's wholeness, perfection, you as a personal individuation of consciousness, are resonating with the frequency of source. And so it's very important for your body. It's very important so that spirit has a complete pathway to manifest through, that you use the dimension of energy and frequency and thought. Depending on your constitution, you might actually contemplate thoughts, or you might just find frequencies. I just find frequencies. I'm about to go for a walk in Paris on a Sunday, and I'm just going to radiate my love for this city and my appreciation and my joy and my gratitude for being here and the perfection of all life. That's just how I live. And it's important to me. I had the experience where I was disassociated, and my body and my consciousness, there was such a big gap, and I had a very strong awakening and sudden awakening. So the quantum leap left my body in kind of a seemingly chaotic state. So I've really learned how to anchor energy, and that's what my favorite thing to teach. So it is absolutely important that you embody frequency. So how do you do it? You find it. Find the ones, close your eyes, relax your mind, cue yourself, say the words wholeness, love, perfection, all is me, all is God, joy, joy, joy. Whatever cue actually resonates with your energy body, so that's a gateway where you find it, and then you enhance it. So like I said, the intensity with which you embody a frequency determines the speed at which it starts to manifest in your life, not only your physical life, but your spiritual life, right? Which are the same thing. So I will get more into embodying frequency. This is the heart of my teaching, is embodying frequencies, and how important it is as a bridge between the unmanifest and the manifest, and how, you know, some spiritual teachings can kind of lead people to believe that you're just supposed to go beyond all of it and reach and hide up, you know, in the unborn and in just pure awareness. But you may or may not find that it doesn't feel complete. So if that is you, if that resonates with you, and if you feel called to raise the vibration of your body so that you can radiate more light into your experience, another way to raise the vibration of the body is the cessation of escape, no longer escaping emotions, which I'll also talk about in great detail. I will talk about and unpack a lot more about raising the vibration of the body, because I find myself, like, I wouldn't say an expert, but I've walked it in an intense way. So whatever that means, like, I can tell you whatever value I gained and what worked for me. But finding a frequency and practicing it, right? Practicing a frequency, practicing the frequency of stability, which I've talked a lot about. So I'll go into this more on another day, but I just wanted to drop in and remind you that it is important. The thought and frequency and energy, not just awareness, is important. It's important to occupy that dimension in service of your enlightenment. Have a good day.